Hare Krishna. Welcome. Thank you very much for coming, everyone. And this is Iskcon of Silicon Valley, International Society for Krishna Consciousness. And we're here in Mountain View, California, 1965 Latham. If you're thinking of driving down, please come. If you came to the wrong place, you can stay anyway. We will feed you later. And those of you who have joined online, thank you very much for coming. The International Society for Krishna Consciousness was founded by His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada, who had come on a mission of goodwill from India. And he had met a luminary in a spiritual line called the Gaudiya Sampradaya, coming from one of Krishna. Krishna is a name for the Supreme Personality of Godhead. One of the avatars of Krishna, whose name is Chaitanya. Everyone say Chaitanya. An avatar means one who crosses down in order to offer help. That's always nice, right? If you're stranded somewhere and you don't have the means to get out of the situation you're in and someone comes and offers a helping hand, that's very much appreciated. And Chaitanya, who as an incarnation of Krishna appeared in the world approximately 500 years ago, 500 plus, had given what's called the Yuga Dharma. Dharma means something that holds us, that sustains us. And in every era, there's a particular way in which one can take up a spiritual practice that's sustaining. And as was taught by Chaitanya, the sustaining practice, or what's called the Yuga Dharma, everyone say, what's called Sankirtan. Kirtan comes from the word kirti, which means to make someone famous. Kirti means fame. So when you talk about someone, you would say, oh, guess what such and such did? They're really good. You're glorifying them, you're doing kirti. And when you speak the names of God and you spread information about God, this is also called kirtan. And when you put the word sam means together. And so samkirtan, say sankirtan, means to glorify God together. And one of the ways of doing that, that's very simple, that Chaitanya Mahaprabhu brought up as effective in this age, is singing the names of God, especially the Maha Mantra. So Maha means great in Sanskrit, and mantra is an utterance that frees one's consciousness, a problem that Krishna points out in the Bhagavad Gita, which is a text over 5,000 years old that has commonsensical spiritual knowledge. It's something that you can read and then practice. That we become implicated in this world by material consciousness, the way we look at the world, the attitudes that we have, the philosophies that we develop, when they're out of alignment with our highest nature, and with our highest potential, then they lead us in ways that are frustrating, or they lead us to destinations that are frustrating. So in the Bhagavad Gita, Krishna talks about what our real nature is. And lo and behold, it's that we're part and parcel of the Supreme. Just as much as a spark from a fire is part of the fire. It is fire, it's part of the fire, but it's also separated from the fire at the same time that it's one with the fire. And that's our situation as well, says Krishna in the Bhagavad Gita, that we're part of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Krishna. So we have the same nature, and that is that we're conscious and Krishna is conscious, but Krishna is supremely conscious, whereas we have a limited consciousness in that we can only be conscious, for instance, of our own body, and barely that. We really don't know what's going on. Like sometimes things come up in one's body and you say, I wonder what that's all about. And it's like, I don't know. You might even ask the doctor, what's that about? And it's like, I don't know either. we have a limited awareness of our environment, although we know we're in a body. We can become aware of that. But Krishna, as the Supreme Personality of Godhead, the source of all other living entities, actually the source of all energies, is aware of all of his parts and also of all of his energies. He's also in control of them. And when we're aligned with Krishna, we feel whole. And when we get separated from Krishna, then we feel incomplete. And therefore, the process called yoga means to complete oneself by being reattached to Krishna. But reattached how? Through consciousness. That's why this is called Krishna consciousness. It's also called bhakti yoga. Everyone say bhakti yoga. And it's also called devotional service. And note that it's not just devotion, because there's something active to do to express your devotion, to carry out the feeling of devotion that you have for the Supreme. And so the International Society for Krishna Consciousness follows the teachings of Chaitanya. He's also called Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, or Sri Chaitanya. These are honorifics added onto his name. And Chaitanya Mahaprabhu follows strictly in line with the ancient teachings called the Bhagavad Gita, as I just mentioned, and also Srimad Bhagavatam. Srimad Bhagavatam is a little more of an extensive explanation of what Krishna consciousness is and how to practice it. It's worth a read. It won't take you long if you dedicate yourself to it. You can read the whole thing over five years if you just read around 8 pages a day. So it's a lengthy conversation, and there are many different parts to it. But it's one of the ways that we can become Krishna conscious and also understand our nature, which is part of Krishna consciousness, understanding who we are. Without knowing who one is or what the purpose of life is, life can seem overwhelming. So many choices and so many obstacles, even if we pick a path, that we might be held up in various ways, right? Everyone say yes, otherwise I'll feel really bad because that's my situation. And there are various practices in Krishna consciousness which are very relatable to us humans. There's art. For instance, the art of making a garland. It's not well known in Silicon Valley. Most people don't know how to make a flower garland. Do you think that's safe to say? I went to San Francisco State University and I looked for a class in flower garland making and I couldn't find one. And if you look at Stanford, you won't find one either. Or what to speak of Berkeley or Davis. But it's one of the aesthetic expressions of devotion is making a garland. And who do you make it for, do you suppose, in a process called Krishna consciousness or devotional service? Who do you think you'd offer the flower garland to? Krishna? Do we have 100% concurrence on that? So who would it be for? Krishna. Yeah, so making a flower garland is pleasing to the senses. I've experienced it myself when I first joined the Krishna consciousness movement in San Francisco. After they cleaned me up a little bit, they led me to a room, nice and clean room, and they gave me a needle and some flower petals, and they said, string them together. And I found myself in a very pleasant situation. I was sitting in a room that was very clean. I was clean, and I had a needle, and I had flowers all around me. How often do you have that in your life? Surrounded by flowers, and I was stringing them. Then I started thinking, oh, this is very interesting. I'm making a flower garland for Krishna. And I felt a pang of devotion in my heart from doing that. So it's an aesthetic art, making flower garlands, one that there's a group here that gets together regularly, and they work together, different patterns and styles and colors and kinds of flowers to make garlands for Krishna. And other pleasing activities, there's singing. People like to sing. When there's music, it means there's some celebration of some kind. I used to look forward to Christmas time in our household. Everybody played an instrument, and before we'd have a Christmas party at our house, my mother would start practicing her piano, and then we'd sing together Christmas carols. Would you like me to sing some? No, you wouldn't. I know them all, though, because we used to sing them all together as a family. Oh, come, all ye faithful, joyful and triumphant. I said I wouldn't do it, but anyway, there's a sense of togetherness when you sing. There's a sense of joyfulness when you're able to express things in words. And this is very, very much known in all the devotional communities. In the Christian community, I don't know about in Islam, if they're singing. Buddhists, maybe a little quieter. Sometimes, I don't know, maybe a gong, ding. But there's sound vibration. It's very important. So in Krishna consciousness, the aesthetic of singing songs together, but not just any songs. They're not whimsical, but they're songs about Krishna. And when you sing Krishna's names, and you sing them to different tunes, some kind of Indian music called raga, then there's a sense of being carried by the aesthetic of the music and the tune. And then, as Chaitanya Mahaprabhu said, coming back to his teaching of the process of Krishna consciousness or devotional service, when you sing the names of God, he said, Nam Nam Akari Bahuda, Nija Sarva Shaktis, that you're getting all the power of the energies of God, the personal energies of God you're associating with when you sing the names of God. And he said, Nam Nam Akari. There are many names of God, and you can sing them together in aesthetically pleasing ways. And he also said that it's a purifying process when you sing the names of God. And that was in one of the first utterances he made about the efficacy of the process of devotional service. That was Cheto Darpana Marjanam. That is, the Cheta means the consciousness. And it gets purified, it gets cleaned. It's like you're giving yourself a wash. I think last night I saw, there's a lot of places in Burlingame now that are for making sure that your skin is clean. A lot of people go in for facials, apparently, and they want to get their face really clean because I guess it looks brighter when it's clean. But who knows how to clean the heart or the consciousness? That's more important, actually. It's nice to have a clean face, but it's more important to clean the consciousness. So that's the movement of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, and he taught that you can do that most effectively by singing the names of God, or you can just say them. You can say them out loud, and if you get used to that practice of uttering the name of God over and over again in a mantra, then you'll start to notice that your mind becomes calmer, and then you'll start to feel some sense of perspective of the world and the universe. Not that you're just caught up in your life situation, but you're able to back off a little bit and look at it and see, oh, I'm in a world that's spinning, and I'm stable. I'm watching it all go by, and I'm not so disturbed by all the changes. That could be, that kind of consciousness can be affected by saying the mantra in a process called japa. Everyone say japa. Yeah. Japa means to sit with yourself, say the mantra out loud, listen to the sound vibration, and it's a kind of meditation where you say it over and over again. And then, of course, there's cooking. Anybody here who likes to eat? Okay, I'm in on that. It's a joyful time when you're able to, prepare a meal. People get together. Family gatherings are all around the kitchen. If you invite people over and you don't feed them, they won't come back. I guarantee you. Or if you don't feed them properly, they'll be like, let's not go to that place again. Any living entity, if you feed animals, chipmunks, they'll become your friends. They'll come to your house every day. I have some devotee friends who live in Tokyo. They've since moved to the country, but they had a apartment. There's some really big apartment buildings in Tokyo, and they lived up on one of the higher floors. And there was a nice little bird that came every single day to visit, and they'd fly all the way up to their lanai, or as they say in Hawaii, or their balcony that's out there, and it would just land there, and then they'd feed him some nut prasadam or seed prasadam. Prasadam means food that's offered to God. And he'd be very happy. And then he'd come back the next day, same time. Almost as if he had a Apple Watch on or something. He knew where it was, and he knew what time to come. I saw it also in India. I have a friend who has a little country setting right near the Vrindavan city, and every day the same dog would come at the exact right time to get a roti. Anybody know what a roti is? Yeah, it's like a flat, unyeasted bread. How's that for explanation of a roti? I don't know. It's bread without the yeast, and flat. And it's a staple in northern India anyway. And the dog would come at the exact time every day. You just see him coming down the lane. And as almost we checked his paws to see if he had a wristwatch on. How did you know to come at the exact time? Because everyone likes to be fed. So Krishna consciousness, the Hare Krishna movement, is a kitchen religion. It's all based around the kitchen. And there's two aspects to that. One aspect is cooking is a devotional activity. Mothers are known, and sometimes fathers or whoever cooks in the family. It's a nurturing of the whole group, whoever's cooking. They're cooking, and there's a sense of love and exchange when you cook for other people, right? Yeah, it's really nice. You know, people come home for home cooking because there's love in it. It's not just in a package, it was on a plane, it's in a bag, it came out of a machine, but actually, you know, your mom made it for you, and it's made out of love. So in Krishna consciousness, one of the greatest of all aesthetics is the cooking. So the way the cooking works is that Krishna's a person and he has senses. Who would have guessed that? Most people don't know that. They just say God is some impersonal force, or there is a God, but we don't know who he is, and don't even try to discuss it, otherwise it'll be blasphemy. But in the Vedas and in the Bhagavad Gita, there's a very clear sense of who God is. God is the supreme person, and he has senses, just as we have senses, but his senses are unlimited, whereas our senses are limited. And that's good news if you want to cook for someone, because they can unlimitedly appreciate what you cook for them. And Krishna says in the Bhagavad Gita, Patram pushpam palam toyam yome bhaktya priyachati taraham bhaktuparitam ashnami paritatmanaha. Amazing aspect of cooking for Krishna, and that is he only accepts the love. It's the love. It's not the quality of the food, although that's part of love. If you cook haphazardly or it's half-baked and you offer it to somebody, they're like, do you really like me, or are you trying to get rid of me? So if you cook something wholeheartedly with the right mood for Krishna, then Krishna says, I taste it. I actually take it. And there's a visceral sense of this when devotees cook for God, cook for Krishna, that he has senses. He's going to enjoy this. So they're very mindful when they're cooking. Mindful cooking because it's devotional. Then it's offered to Krishna, please accept my offering. And after that, the food becomes prasadam. Everyone say prasadam. But not too loud, because everyone will come running from... And then when you take prasadam, we don't just eat prasadam. In fact, in one of the prayers we sing is Shayanamrita Pao, which means that we're honoring this as the grace of God. We're eating as a meditation on God, a devotional meditation. That's doable, right? You have to do the doables in life. So this is doable. You have to eat anyway, right? Say yes. And if you're going to eat, the way to eat devotionally is to take prasadam. Eat prasadam and honor it. Just think this came from God as mercy. It already does anyway. You get an apple off a tree. It's the most amazing thing. I have a Fuji apple tree in my backyard, because I like Fuji apples. And the Fujis are still good on the tree. And just around the time it starts to get cold, it's almost as if they're refrigerated up there. I thought they would have been all taken by the squirrels and everybody else by the time I got back from India last week. But no, they're still up there, refrigerated on the tree. A nice little covering on the Fuji apple. You open it up, and it's the tastiest kind of food you could ever get. And Krishna has myriad varieties of these types of food that he offers to every living entity. This is mentioned in the Vedas, Nityo Nityanam, Chaitanas Chaitananam, Eko Bahunam Yovidinhati Kaman. It's a very useful mantra. It's a way to see God everywhere. It says, God's feeding everyone. And if you look around, you see, to ants, what do you guys do for a living? Nothing really. We don't have any rent, no insurance, but they're eating. And if you go to a jungle, there's not many elephants left in the world. People harass the elephants. They got annoyed and they're, not so happy nowadays. But when there were a lot of elephants in the jungles, they had plenty to eat. And they eat a lot. I lived with an elephant once in South India, and he ate a lot. And the point is, God's feeding everyone anyway. So it's not a stretch to say, thank you, God, for giving this. I'm offering this to you out of love, and then accept it. That's a small step, but it makes a big difference in one's life and in one's consciousness. And it's the adjustment of consciousness from being mindless to being Krishna conscious. And if you have that, there's every indication that you can become sense-controlled. There's a famous, very beautiful poetical verse that comes from the Srimad Bhagavatam that says, Yat pada pankacha palasya vilasya bhakta karmashrayam gratitam ugratayanti santa tadvanda rikta matayo yatayo pirudha shroto ganas tamaranam bhajavasudevam. Which means that when you do devotional service through these aesthetic performances, offerings to Krishna out of love, making flower garlands, help me out here, singing. Nobody's going to help me out here? First one was making garlands. Started there because the garlands here are notable. Another one? Singing. And? Cooking. And then, after cooking? Eating. There's so many sensory activities. He said, if you get involved in all these aesthetically pleasing sensory activities that are in relation to Krishna, you get what's called vilas. Everyone say vilas. A sense of superior enjoyment. And that's necessary because we can't just give up the world. It's not possible for us. Us souls want variety. We want bliss. We want happiness. We want variety. Right? Say yes. Yeah. You can't just sit in a room. The worst punishment on the earth is solitary confinement. Solitary confinement is the cruelest thing that you can do to any person. People, they have to have association with others. They have to have variety. They have to have music. Try sitting on a plane for 14 hours. What do you want to do? Get off. Right? After 14 hours, don't you want to get off? Even after 4 hours, and it's like, I want terra firma. I want to see some trees. So we need variety, but it has to be the kind of variety that's connected to Krishna. Then what we get is called vilas. Vilas means spiritual enjoyment, a kind of happiness that comes from the aesthetic. It pleases the senses, it pleases the soul. And when you have that, karmashrayam gratitan ugratayanti santa, it means that one can overcome all the other vices of the world. Anybody here ever notice that there are vices in the world? Few people noticed. Yeah. There's things you can get attached to that aren't that good for you, possible. Yeah, and then once they get on you, you're just like, get off me. And it's like, no, I'm not getting off you. And you just can't get rid of them, right? So there's a solution. And Krishna says it in a similar way in the Bhagavad Gita. He says, param drishva nivartate. Try to taste a higher kind of happiness. And it's not just from sitting and looking at a wall. It's from cooking. It's from making garlands. It's through singing. But singing for Krishna, cooking for Krishna. What's the other one? Associating with people who are Krishna conscious. So that's what the Krishna consciousness movement is. It's a way to get a superior kind of pleasure through which one can become liberated, extricated from the normal obligations of this world, which are obligations to the senses, to the mind, and they all have their demands. And they tell us what to do. And we're sick of it, right? Say yes. We're not going to take it anymore, right? Yeah, that's it. Enough. So there's a way to escape. And it's real escapism because the material world, according to Krishna in the Bhagavad Gita, is temporary, and therefore we call it unreal in that sense. It's dreamlike. So we retreat into reality. That's a good theme, retreat into reality. And once you get into reality, you get a taste for reality, reality is beautiful. The only reason this world is beautiful and attractive is a reflection of reality. So Krishna consciousness and the Krishna consciousness movement is meant to introduce people into a direct pathway into reality that's beautiful. What's more, there's a way in which to engage our senses through the aesthetically pleasing activities that we're all looking for in a way that we get the real taste that we're looking for, which is called Vilas. That's right. 20 points over here. Yes. So the singing part. Let's try a little song. If you break into dance, nobody's going to stop you here. It's a Hare Krishna temple. That's one I didn't mention, but when you sing and you feel so happy that you can't contain yourself anymore, then you can dance. Or if you're morose and you're worried about things, anybody morose? 1, 2, 3. Okay, let me try that. Anybody worried about anything? 4, 5, yeah. If you just dance anyway, then the worries fly away. And we'll try the Hare Krishna dance party a little later, so get ready for that. We'll just warm up now with a little bit of singing. How's that sound? Not that good? Only a little good? Okay. All right. So no kirtan is complete without cowbell. So this is the ceremonious passing of the cowbell to Gita Priya. 1, 2. Slightly unceremonious. Okay. So what we're going to do here, if you're all up for it, is we'll sing a couple of mantras. It's a way to enter into the chanting of the Maha Mantra, which I mentioned earlier, that gives us an open door. So the first mantra you see up here, I'll just explain briefly. Nama Om is a way of offering respect. Nama means not me, it's you. It's all about you, not me. And the next one, Om, means the complete whole, the supreme. Vishnu Padaya Krishna Preshtaya Bhutale means this is respecting a person who's very dear to Krishna. And that's the image on the left-hand side. We're offering a respect to the one who started the Krishna consciousness movement and who sits up on this ornate seat called the Vyasasana as a representative of the line of teachers who have passed this down over many generations. Then the mantra mentions our guru's guru, Srimate Bhaktivedanta Swami Nityananda. His name is Bhaktivedanta, and then his spiritual master's name is Saraswati Deve. And what's he doing? Why is he being respected? Because Gauravani Pracharine, which means that he's taking the teachings of the avatar named Chaitanya, and he's spreading it all over the world, and it's overcoming the ideas that have become prevalent called Nirvishesha and Shunyavadi. These things mean that ultimately we don't have a personality. Who here thinks that they don't have a personality? Anyone? It's okay. Go ahead. Even the act of denial is an act of personality because consciousness can't be denied, and if you deny it, then you just contradicted yourself because denial of consciousness is an act of consciousness. So there is no sense of nirvishesha. It's a false philosophy, the idea that there's nothing, or shunyavad, everything's void. So he's counteracting these ideas which are pervasive. We're just matter. Once the matter is disassembled, then there is no more person. That's one philosophy. Another philosophy is that consciousness is just a chance combination of matter bumping together, but although it transfers from one body to another through reincarnation, it doesn't really exist, and ultimate liberation means you become nothing. You merge into nothing, or you become nothing, or there is nothing anyway, so there's nothing to really talk about. And Paschatya means, where did he do it? Paschatya Desh, Silicon Valley. Paschatya Desh means far west, away from the place where people already know about this. That's the other day, we were downtown San Francisco, and a market in Powell, and we were offering people Bhagavad Gitas. 2,000 of them, as a matter of fact, we distributed. And while we were there, we were thinking that this is a pretty far west place to come to distribute Bhagavad Gita. And that was the mission of our founder and Acharya. And then the next one says, it's a mantra glorifying Chaitanya and his associates who worked together to start the Yuga Dharma. Hopefully all terms that are now commonly known, because I already explained them. Shri Krishna, you can repeat after me. Shri Krishna Chaitanya, Prabhu Nityananda, Shri Advaita, Gadadhara, Shivasadi, Gaura Bhaktavrinda. So this is a way of saying thank you to all of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and his associates who have brought the process of Krishna consciousness. Now, what's the story with the temperature in here? It's funny. In India, when it starts to get cold, everyone really bundles up. And from California, we think, well, that's not really so cold. But it just feels warm in here. It's way too warm. We need air, right? We demand air. Can we have a little air? Okay. Okay, let's sing. We said the mantras, so now we'll sing Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama. Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Gaur Premanande, Shri Harinam Sankirtan ki, Shri Harinam Mantra ki, Shri Harinam Prabhu ki, Gaur Premanande. Nitai Gaura Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Hari Bol.